All right, another edition of Leafs Nation After Dark. I'm Zack Phillips tonight, breaking down game number 22, the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season. Dropping this one 5-1 to the Florida Panthers here tonight. What was a pretty convincing win for the Florida Panthers. We'll break all that down as we are live from what is currently the ice box that is my apartment. No thanks to myself setting the smoke alarm off twice within a span of 30 seconds and needing to open doors and windows to let everything out of here. But not a great night all around, myself, the temperature that I'm currently dealing with, or the result of this Leafs game here tonight. I guess the most exciting part of all of this is the fact that we'll get Jay Rosehill on here with us to help us at least talk about what happened here tonight. I'm not in a smash panic button kind of situation with this game or anything. Honestly, this is one of those ones that kind of stinks where like there was positives that could come. There were potential negatives if like things went terribly wrong and things were just really ugly and no effort or anything like that. But I mean, I heard the boys on the morning show talk about this game. I knew that this Panthers team was going to be ready to go and just absolutely rocking here tonight. 4-game losing streak coming in. You know the Maple Leafs, they're the big, bad Maple Leafs, great defensively, tough. They're a hard team to take down right now. Florida was going to be up for the test, and there's no way around it. They were. You have a Leafs team that's depleted. They've got injuries. I mean, I'm not trying to kind of diminish what happened here tonight, but this is one for me walking away from that game. There's no real, like, negatives about what happened. Obviously, we can get nitpicky on some of the stuff, but it's not really where I'm at on this. I don't want to dig too far into some of it, but hey, I mentioned off the top, we're going to have our guy Jay Rosehill joining us here, and you guys know already, this Leafs Nation After Dark is a presentation of Bet365. Open an account today and bet on a huge range of markets. Use code NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. That's capital N-A-T-I-O-N, code NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Make sure to sign up over there. Click the link in the description when you do so. Use code NATION. But let's welcome to the show here tonight to help us break down this kind of sleepy one that I honestly wish I could have turned off at probably the end of the second period. The man himself, Jay Rosehill. Rosie, how you feeling after this one tonight?
Boo! Yeah, it's a throwaway game if I've ever seen one, man. Like, I'm not worried about it in the slightest, and there's not much good to take away from it. It's a total throwaway game, and if you ask me, this was just ripe timing to run into this. I can't believe they've done what they've done with their injuries so far, and absolute hats off to them. But it's just unsustainable. And then you run up against the Panthers, who have had if you look at their first like 10 games compared to, their last few, it just doesn't really make sense. They're on a little skid. Got big time PP whack from Maurice today. You knew they were just going to pull their stuff together tonight, and it was just matching up tough for the Maple Leafs. And finally that depleted lineup caught up to them in my eyes, and it's a throwaway game. Hang it up, move on. There's nothing you need to change or go crazy about.
Well, I look at the lineup too ahead of the game, right? Second line, Nick Robertson, Pontus Holmberg, and William Nylander. We were at points where Marner, Matthews, and Nylander were playing on 3 separate lines. Like, that was the level of depth. And now that's your second line. It's like, yeah, once you get to game 7, 8, 9, those things are probably going to start to catch up to you, where it's like, it doesn't matter how well you play. You're going to run into someone like Florida here tonight who's going to have a no-nonsense type of attitude towards the game, have a little bit of fire in there inside them as well, kind of saying, like, honestly, like, fuck those guys. They're 7 of 8 without Matthews. They're number 1 in the Atlantic. Everyone's talking about them like they're this big, difficult team to take down. Watch this. Like, we're going to be the ones to finish this.
Yeah, and when you look at that forward grouping, I mean, that's not even the Maple Leafs, dude. It's really not. Like, how many of those forwards is a legit helpful NHLer? Like,
Look at the third line right now.
Not the majority of them, man. It's
yeah.
Again, hats off. They did what they did with injuries, but that's just not a lineup that's gonna be able to sustain a whole bunch of 2-point nights, especially against the Panthers when they just got chewed out by Maurice. And you know that walking around that locker room before the game, the Panthers were like, now's the time. Like, be ready for this. Everyone's dead friggin' serious. No one's messing around. Everyone's focused. Everyone's prepared. Drop the hammer and turn this thing around. You run that with them up against the Leafs lineup tonight. It was a recipe, but they've been doing it. So I had high hopes. I tweeted something that looks dumb now, and I don't really care. It was, if they do this tonight, they will be opening some serious eyes. And it's almost unexplainable with their depletion of their lineup. And they didn't do it. And I think it's justified that, they drop one tonight. I'm not freaking out by any stretch. I'm not even criticizing it. They were overdue for one of those.
Yeah, we were kind of in like a win. I don't know, like the other way. It wasn't even like a win-lose or like a win-win for us. It was like a win or nothing, like just a draw situation. Like, we lost this game. I don't think you're too upset. I'm not too upset. I see some people in the chat who are like in a different mood about it, but like, I really, at this point, I'm kind of just like, what? Like, I don't know, man. I don't really care. Like, let's go on to Tampa on Saturday and figure it out. This game was coming. It was around the corner. But if you win, it's like you said, we would have walked away and being like, oh, what a team. Like, we're building something here. So I don't know. It's a weird vibe. I don't really know how to kind of get over that initial thought process. Like, there's some positives I do want to talk about here, but outside of that, it's just kind of like, whatever.
Yeah, it was like win or shrug your shoulders, right? Is what it is. And now I think Matthews is going to play this weekend, and it's just like perfect timing for him. Okay, you did incredible while I was gone. Reality started to sink in that you're a worse team without me, which it really is. I know the stats are weird and it's just some leafy stuff going on with Matthews out of the lineup, but long term, it's not very good for the team. I think it's not obvious from how they played the last 9 or whatever without him, but now that it's just perfect timing for back. They held up the fort as much as they could in all of these guys' absence. And now hopefully, we're going to get Nyes back sooner than later. I mean, Patch is starting to come around down the barrel. Domi could be any time, and we're probably going to get Matthews this weekend. Like, slow clap to the boys who held down the fort while those guys are gone. And now you can start to, see the light at the end of the tunnel when we'll get some bodies back, hopefully. And obviously the big one is Matthews here, which I would probably put a bet down that he would play this weekend.
I'm assuming he's going to play here as well. I see a couple comments in the chat. Tammy says, Zach, you should care. It's Florida. I get it. Like, I don't want to lose this game. That's the other thing. Pete Walton says we never want to lose. No, I get that. I don't want to lose. I'd love to go 82-0, but unfortunately, that's just not the reality of a season. You're going to lose anyways. And it's like, of games to lose, this is probably one to be okay with.
But those guys are looking at it just like, we want to win every game. I cheer for the Leafs and I hate the Panthers. Okay, if you want to just do that, that's very surface and that's fine. Yeah. But do you want to go deeper into it and like dissect a game and talk about like where they're at and what the expectations were? And there's games where we come on here just pissed right off at pathetic efforts and undisciplined
no, we never do that,
and not sticking to a system. And it's not one of those. It's just not one of those. They simply didn't have the personnel. You think Paul Maurice wasn't like, hey, they got a bunch of, let's be honest, a bunch of nobodies up front. I mean, go past your top 2-3 guys and there's nobody there. Yeah. Plug up the middle, keep them to the outside and make these guys work their balls off. They're not going to have enough talent to like beat you through the middle and penetrate. So that's probably the game plan. It looked like it was, and they came out hot. Like I said, they would have been super prepared for that game. Just unsustainable for the Leafs to, push back against that with that lineup. That being said, if they had, which they've been winning lots of games where you didn't think they're going to win on paper during these injury problems, and hats off to them. But if they didn't, I just don't think it's you can expect them to keep doing that. But if they did somehow, it would have been an unbelievable win against someone who I'd want to beat more than anyone else.
Yeah.
At this point in time, like Boston and Florida, I want to beat them every single time. But I can understand why they didn't tonight. Is my point.
Yeah, and for those people who are kind of forgetting here as well, like, you want to run down the list of players who's missing. It's not just we got a bunch of guys. It's Austin Matthews, Matthew Nyes, Max Pacioretty, Calle Yarncroke, David Kampf, Bobby McMahon left the game here tonight. Max
Max
Domi,
Domi.
Ryan Reeves. Like that's 8. That's
Talking
8. You know what I mean? Like
not.
that's a
It's
lot. That's a
not.
lot. You
I
kind of
think
said it. I want to ask you though, Rosie. Like I don't think that the Leafs strayed from a Berube system here tonight. I don't think that their effort lacked. I didn't have any issue with any of that here tonight either. Would you kind of pin this on just like, I know we've talked about it a little bit, so kind of getting you to go back in circles on it, but is this more just a matter of like, hey, they played the right way here tonight, they just weren't good enough to beat Florida? Like, they do not have the talent with this lineup to play against the Florida Panthers, no matter how well you play. If they show up, give Florida credit, they showed up and played well here tonight too.
Yeah, well, I think that's Florida's best. And I think you could,
Right.
for the slide that they're going on and a team that's that good, and for the message to be sent by their coach tonight, and they're at home, and it's like, you think they're going to win 5 in a row? Like they would have some serious problems. And I don't think they have serious problems. They just, little Stanley Cup hangover. Their guns aren't firing right now and things, I don't think it's major issues with the Florida Panthers. And I just, you're going to get their best tonight. They're going to say, okay, boys, time to cut the bullshit here. Come prepared and do what we know how to do. They did just that. And as much as it wasn't like the Leafs beat themselves tonight. It just wasn't. They didn't have the firepower to handle that team over there, because they're just not the best Toronto Maple Leaf team that they could ice. There's 8 guys missing from the lineup, guys. Like, that was the problem. And as much as there was effort and everything there, they had their chances. Like, there was some shots that could have gone in, and there was some chances that could have been converted, and they just weren't. You only need 2 of those chances to kind of get some puck luck to go in. All of a sudden you're in the game through the first half, but they just never got any of that to go. Florida buried their chances, kind of end of story. It was a 60-minute effort from Florida. I mean, did they give them a whole hell of a lot? Not really. Did they have any big breakdowns? No. Were they in control of all 60 minutes? Yeah, they were. And that's just kind of, I just say, yeah, that the circumstances finally caught up to the Maple Leafs.
Okay, so now that we've got out of the way that this was just straight up the Panthers beat the Leafs here, they deserved it, all of that. Before any Florida fans or anybody from non-Leafs fans come in here and say, what the fuck are you talking about? What the hell was that call on Nikita Grabenkin to start the game? Is that not one of like the softest or just most ridiculous penalty calls you've ever seen there? I think it's very closely following the penalty after Matthew Tkachuk takes his. And then the guy's going to the corner, fakes like he's turning to Grabenkin, and turns his back at the last second. Grabenkin pushes him, and he's getting a boarding call. I was sitting there, I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? How is this a penalty?
And did he even hit the boards? He just pushed him down. Pushed him down. It was weak. And I felt for Grabenkin, because a guy like that, I mean, I played like that where, okay, you're not going to get a ton of ice and you're expected to be buzzing and hit everything and create energy. I mean, you can't get too horned up and go take a penalty. And I felt for him, because they score when he's in the box too. And it's like, it just sets the whole tone. And Chief was actually looking down and shook his head, and I think he was shaking his head at the fact that it was a weak call, as opposed to shaking his head at, geez, Grabenkin, like, nice, thanks for that. Like, I put you out there, I want you to bump some things up, and you just go dumbly take. I don't think it was that. I think it was the same thing that we're thinking of, like, you're calling that shit. And I think it was a bit of an even up call on the Tkachuk call. And it's just, I felt for him. If it was anyone else, whatever, but there's a guy that wants to make a name for himself, plays on the edge, sometimes crosses the edge, but then they get a little bit of a name for themselves. It's easy to make a call like that on a guy rather than like a superstar or a big name guy. It's easy to throw those fourth liners in the box, so their arm goes up a little easier. But yeah, it set the tone. They score on it. They never look back after that. And I know I've said it before. I can't stand these ticky-tack calls, and usually they're the stick ones and a little stick on the hand or a stick on the stick and slash. Like, fuck, what are you doing? It's National League. Let them play. If the guy's breaking a rule to the point where it's affecting the play and not allowing players to score or advance or show their talent or, do what the league wants to happen out there, if it's got nothing to do with that, then why are you calling it? Like, leave that shit alone. I honestly, I can't. The best games that you're going to watch are playoff games, are ones where they let stuff go and don't dictate the game by the power plays and the special teams. It grinds it to a halt. It gets the momentum away. Let them fucking play, and they never seem to want to. And it makes it 10 times worse when you're calling that shit. And whether they would have, it would have changed the story or not, that set the tone for sure for what was to come the rest of the 50 minutes of the game.
That was kind of shocking. I'm excited for this. I talked about it in the game preview. I'm like, you know what? Either way, like the Panthers play this style of hockey. The Leafs have shown so far this year that they don't back down from it. There's even cases where they've started it. I'm like, man, we're going to get a chippy, like physical battle tonight. This is going to be fun to watch immediately. No, I mean, I'm going to sound like an idiot for this, but like I think the Tkachuk one was a penalty. You just smoked Dewar in the back, no puck, nothing. It was nowhere near. But then just immediately after followed up with like, yep, that's a penalty there. And it was like, okay, that's not what we're getting tonight. I'm like, this is the downer, man. I thought we were going to get some like aggressive go back and forth.
Yeah, I know. And I was thinking of tweeting, like, is it going to be one of those where the whistle dictates everything and it's the grindiest, longest game ever with all these PKs and special teams and tweet, everyone stop again. I didn't like that. We're going to have a penalty here. I don't like those at all. I don't know many people that do. I know they like, the scoring to be up and power plays lead to that, but it's not as exciting as a back and forth, no holds barred type of game, like a playoff game. And not that every regular season game can be like that, but just put it away with the ticky-tacky shit. Like, and it's so hard to do. It's so easy to criticize the ref. If you threw me in there with the stripes on in a game, I'd be like, how am I supposed to catch everything? It's probably very difficult. I get that, but
you are fast though. You could easily keep up with the play. Fast.
They were recruiting guys when I was retiring to go, and I got buddies that are lineys in the NHL and stuff like that too. But it's kind of an interesting game. But yeah, you got to be able to skate a little bit. Maybe it would benefit to take the stick out of my hands. I might really shine because that was the thing that was holding me back.
The stick. Playing with the stick and the puck was holding my
small part of the game, but it wasn't my forte.
You're good in straight lines. We saw you in Flyers camp. They're wheeling up and down the ice. Put a stick in your hands, and it's just that's it, done.
She's game over. Boys.
I want to stick on Gulbenkian here quickly. We talk about obviously that's a tough one for him to take, just at least in his mentals at that point of the game, being like, oh shit, here we go, another one like early on gets that. I think he's been really physical. He's been really engaged. He doesn't look like he's out of it at all, or behind the play is more a better way to kind of explain that one. Do you think that this kid and Fraser Minton as well could actually legitimately make cases to be on this team even after guys return? Like, could they fight their way into this where it's like Berube has no choice but to play them? Or is this more just like, hey, you're here out of necessity, and at some point when these guys get healthy, you guys are the first ones to go?
Well, I think when the guys get healthy, they're going to be going down, and that includes Nylander too. It's not when the bodies are healthy, they're going to get priority. But the thing is, especially with Minton and Gulbenkian, is that you can just pop them up and down at will and just use them. Like, hey, we got healthy bodies. You're going to go down and get that experience and get that confidence playing on the Marlies. It's down the bloody hallway. Why would they sit in the press box or do anything else when these guys get healthy, then walk down the hallway and start playing, meaningful games and gaining that experience at that age? And then if any point in time you want, boom, pop you back. Like you don't risk anything by calling them up and sending them down. So I hope that there's opportunity where you can put them in the lineup more, like especially those two, because I could see Gulbenkian, if he kind of develops and like understands where the line is, he's got the skill to be able to make plays and finish plays and be a guy that's contributing offensively. He's not a one-trick pony, but he also plays like he's a gamer. He loves that. He loves being on the edge. He likes hitting and causing shit and stirring it up and chirping off. And he just has that personality and that game style. So, I mean, not to look too far ahead, but I could see them like needing him in the playoffs and being like, let's give this kid a shot in the playoffs. I know it's a big stage, but he plays a certain way that could be effective and we could utilize him. And if he's got a bunch of experience in the NHL under his belt by getting thrown in and called up, and, he was down in the Marlies last week and this week he's up, he knows what that feeling is. And he'd be able to just kind of step into that stride and use that experience to his advantage. If it were, for example, the playoffs, where who knows what would happen, where you'd need him, but maybe you need a guy like him and you got to call to to him to step up at a big time. And the more experience he has up, the better. Same with Cowan, but Cowan just needs to just kind of produce. And when you call guys up like that, I expect them to come out firing in the first game or two. I mean, they're jacked up, adrenaline's going, they're going guns a blazing, but eventually, and we're kind of at that time now, they settle in, and it's like I don't know if they're ready to be there and like steal anyone's job. I just don't think, unless Minton just like really found some chem with one of his line mates and started lighting it up point wise. I think it's best to kind of use them as they are when they need to, and otherwise let them keep developing and see how the season shakes out.
Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe here, Leafs Nation 401 on YouTube. I've enjoyed both of their games. It's exciting. It's a different feeling as a Leafs fan watching them. Watching, McMahon come up, Steve's come up for the first time, and it's no disrespect to them. And obviously McMahon is an everyday NHLer here at now, but it was like, hey, those guys were good in the games that they played, but like, okay. And I, again, not trying to diminish what they did in their time up, but it was just kind of like, hey, they filled in, they did a good job, and that's I'm good with that. McMahon obviously pushed to become more, but these two guys watching is like, hey, we got something here with them. I would agree. They're probably first on the list down to go, just especially it's so easy to send them, right? They are both able to go down without having to clear waivers or anything. They can just bounce up and down pretty easily, and they've done a great job here in the short time that they've been up on short notice. Hey, injuries come up, you got to go, and they've come in and filled in nicely. It's just kind of exciting to see them fitting into this and being like, hey, that's around the corner. Kind of even like that first glimpse we got of Nyes when we saw him in the playoffs against Tampa. He obviously ends up going down with the injury in the series against the Panthers, but we saw it and it was like, ooh, there's something there with this kid. Comes up full time and it's like, holy fuck, like this kid's a player. But we're going to get guys who are coming back from injury. They're going to be on their way down, potentially, back down to the Marlies. There's going to be other guys who are going to have to come out of this lineup. And one of the more polarizing ones right now, Rosie, is being Nick Robertson. 1 goal this season. I think he played well the other night against Utah. Nick was there. I heard you guys talking about it throughout this week. It's like, yeah, he's played well, but you know what he is? He's a goal scorer. You know what he's not doing? Scoring goals. And no matter how you want to shape this, that's the biggest problem for me right now, where it's just like, hey, dude, you're not a guy who can do some of the things McMahon or Nyes can do. You cannot do the things Pacioretty can do, whether it's veteran leadership, killing penalties, playing physical games. Like, you just don't bring that kind of stuff. How do you handle this guy as more players start coming back? And is this kind of the end of the Nick Robertson journey here in Toronto? Because again, tonight, it just wasn't there for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly looking that. I think the only reason he's getting these games, I mean, if everyone's healthy, I think decisions have been made on him by this point already. But due to circumstance, he's in, and I cannot fault his effort. Like, he can skate, he's buzzing out there. He's got that low, long stride, and he's absolutely working his bag off to make things happen out there. But unfortunately, it's not producing anything. Like, you see the couple chances he gets, and you can almost see like the trepidation in his eyes. Like, he's like, oh God, like he knows more than anybody that he hasn't been scoring at all. He knows more than anybody that he's on thin ice. He knows more than anybody that there was a lot of question marks about him leading into the season in the first place. He's not ignorant to any of that stuff. So, the longer time goes on, and we were saying this at 5 games and 9 games and 14 games. And I mean, he's not doing anything. Like, time is just rolling on by, and he's not doing anything to help himself. And yeah, I mean, it's a business at that point in time. If everyone's healthy, he's going away, whether you put him on waivers and get him on the Marlies or let him go or package him in some kind of a deal, which I'm sure they've tried to do already, and just haven't found anything that makes any remote amount of sense. Like, maybe they haven't even got an offer for all we know. I don't know, but he's not like that. I know he was kind of like, they played it really well, but that 2-on-1 with Willie, he's skating straight. And I mean, a 2-on-1, it's like, create a little bit of space, make a D-man move in some way, shape, or form, and get that puck to Willie, whether you turn on the jets and kind of go behind him, go through his triangle, a little pull up and throw it, like anything, change the angle. And he just skates dead straight and then ends up basically headed to the corner and he's on his backhand and he flips the backhand. Like, oh God, like that's not conducive to a guy that's got confidence, that's ready to rip up the NHL and throw a bunch of points around. He's not even close. And I understand why he's lost his confidence. I get it. But at some point in time, either you got to put up or shut up. And he is not doing anything to help himself, unfortunately. As much as the effort is there, it's just not happening. Like, maybe he doesn't have it in him. I don't know. He hasn't developed exactly the way people would have wanted.
Yeah, but this is also too like this. He doesn't have the excuse this year of the coach doesn't like me, the coach doesn't give me opportunity. I don't think the same way that maybe he's had it before. I always kind of wanted more out of him, but I could see it where it was like Sheldon Keefe had a very short leash on him, and you make a mistake, you try something, it doesn't work. Well, bang, back to the press box, bang, back to the Marlies, and all of a sudden he's sitting there like, what can I do? I can't try things, I can't play my game. He played great in the preseason. Berube gave him opportunities. It just has not worked out so well here now. And I mean, I see it in these games. Like this game against Florida here tonight felt like one of those ones where it was really, obviously the lineup's depleted, but hey, dude, you've got a chance now. You know, you've got an opportunity. And I mean, I don't know, there might not be a person in the NHL with duller skates than that guy either. Every time I look, he's on the ice. But again, it's just some of these opportunities where you come across the blue line and you're ripping a shot 3 feet wide on the ice. And it's like, I mean, for a guy who's supposed to be scoring goals, you're not doing much of it, not creating too many of those, generating too many of those opportunities. That is frustrating to watch on a nightly basis right now.
I know, and I don't think he would ever say he's not getting an opportunity. I don't think he's mad at anybody but himself. I imagine he's just frustrated, going, "Fuck! I wish this was going so much better. I didn't know what this season would bring, but it brought me a lot of opportunity, and I could have easily." Taken it and ran with it, but it just hasn't gone his way. He's not able to. And maybe he's in his head. Maybe he's lacking confidence. Maybe he's not as skilled as we thought. Maybe he hasn't developed properly. I don't know what the deal is. And he probably doesn't either, but it's just, there's nothing there with Nick Robertson. He's got the opportunity. He's trying, but just, he can't create anything. And he's had a plethora of time and opportunity to do so. And the writing's on the wall for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, I also just want to make it clear. I have no problem with him as a player or anything. Like, I actually don't dislike him as a player. I just don't think it fits here. I don't think it's kind of what we need, and he's not providing that, like, extra boost of goal scoring that you'd think would come from a player like that. And at some point, it's kind of gonna have to be, hey, dude, you're not going to work here. We could probably get something back for it, whether it be a pick or a roster spot or cap space. There's value in those things, and unfortunately, that might be the end of it.
Would you move him right now for a 4th rounder if you're tree living and it comes on your desk? And let's say everyone's getting healthy again.
If everyone's getting healthy, yeah, probably. I mean, like, I don't know. There's probably somebody out there who can tell me what the real value of Nick Robertson would be, and they're going to say, you're an idiot for saying yes to that. But, like, just off the top of my head, like, yeah, probably. If you're telling me Domi, Pacioretty, these guys are coming back, yeah. I'm taking it.
And you know what? There's no harm or risk in putting him on the Marlies. I mean, if you lose them on waivers, I mean, fuck, somebody wanted them, whatever. Where were they before when they could have made some kind of somewhat of a deal? But if you're that desperate you want to scoop them up for nothing, fine, you lose them. That's life. That's how things go. Yeah. But say he ends up on the Marlies, and 3 months go by, 4 months go by. It's a different thing. Things are different. Like when you're in the NHL and when you're playing pro hockey. The mountains, they're high, but they it's easy for them to fall. You can fall down them quickly and easily. Like you can just kind of get snake bit and get some bad luck, lose your confidence, get injured. Like all of a sudden you're back to square one. And the valleys are just not as deep as they seem. Sometimes you feel like you're a million miles away. You're buried. This organization is done with you. And just a couple of things have to happen. And all of a sudden you're on a new stage. And unfortunately, he didn't get that happen when he did get this opportunity of all this, time in, minutes on the ice and time in games on the day roster, and it just hasn't gone his way. But you put him down there, I mean, things can change. You may need him down the road. Maybe things change for him. Maybe he gets another shot down the road. But I think that his time at this particular juncture needs to move on. I think that means put him on waivers and move on from him when everyone's healthy and just see if anything changes down there. But more than likely, this will be kind of it.
To clarify as well, for on behalf of both Rosie and I, when everyone is getting healthy, not just for the sake of it, we're not just sending the guy down. There's going to be people grabbing these clips. Listen to these idiots. They just want to get rid of them for nothing. No, guys are healthy. Let's make it clear.
Course. And I think that already, like I said, that would have already happened. If you don't have Domi and Patches and all these guys all out of the lineup, then I think he's, unless they don't mind him just sitting up there rotting in the press box. But I mean, I think you got to let a guy go play and let some time pass and let his mind clear and get something else going mojo wise. If he's not going to play for the foreseeable future. So I think that's what'll happen when everyone gets healthy, but we will see.
Last thing I'll ask you here, Rosie, I appreciate you doing this here on the late night show. There are people who are not too happy with the Nick Robertson conversation. Get off of this. He's an AHL player. Stop talking about this guy. So I started poking around the chat to see what other people want to be covered here tonight. And I saw that there was a little bit of a fire being started. So why not throw some fucking gasoline on this one? Comment that came up in the chat here tonight. This was a perfect opportunity for Mitch Marner against the Florida Panthers to show, I'm reading this from the chat, that he wasn't scared shitless. He failed to do so. Rosie, are you looking too much into Marner's game here tonight against the Panthers, or is this just kind of lumping in with everyone else and just not being good enough for everyone?
Well, a little of this, a little of that. I mean, it depends what your... It depends what your mindset is on the guy. I mean, I don't want to bash him all, after a game like that where he's been so damn good against some legit opponents and has not had a lot of help. But, I mean, would it have been awesome if, and he did score that nice goal and patiently waited it out. He had some looks on the power play, but 5-on-5, he had nothing. It would have been awesome if he could have just taken control of a game. But I mean, as good as he is, he's not very many guys can just go on that roster that we just looked at and play the Florida Panthers at their best and make a big ding in it and push them back and be kind of a one-man show. Like almost nobody can do that. And I don't expect Mitch to, but you could also say, this was a time where the going could have got tough and Mitch could have got going, and he didn't necessarily. But I'm not going to be the guy to rip on Mitch after one game where he even scored and was the only guy to do so. And you're going to say, oh, see, Mitch is garbage when he has no supporting cast really, and no way to get momentum going and get their wheels going against a really tough opponent that you knew was going to bring their best. I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for that.
I know I put you in a bad spot there. I'm sorry. I just saw.
I usually take it if I want to. I'll fight on it. I don't give a shit. I was on this show one time when I went a little nuts.
Yeah, that was warranted. I think at that point, that was me going nuts into you coming on the show, and then you going nuts, and then just both of us just poking each other back and forth, seeing how far can we go on this one.
That was game 4. That was a tough one.
Yeah, that was bad. No, I don't want to dig too much into it here tonight. It kind of felt like the same thing for the whole team, top to bottom. And yeah, obviously he has paid that, but like the way Florida played here tonight as well, they played so well. And I don't think the Leafs even played that poorly. It was just kind of Florida gave them nothing, and that was it. And it was like basically you had the one line and Willie, and outside of them, you got some spark out of the third line every now and then. And then even on that Marner line, McMahon left the game. Like there was just so much drop off happening. So I can't blame it.
They haven't traveled in a while. They've been at home for quite a while. They haven't gone to a warm climate. It's kind of bloody weird leaving the pregame skate and the sun's just pounding and you can see sand and palm trees and you're in your flip-flops and everyone. It's like, oh, like all that with that group to roll in and expect them just to be guns blazing. You could see it. Like you could see that it was ripe to happen. I just think that roster caught up with them, man. Like I tweeted about them, like time to show, who's the new big dogs in that division. And I thought that if they won, that's exactly what they would have done. And they've been winning against all odds lately. So I threw it out there. And then afterwards, like David Alter had the lineup. I was just looking at the forwards and I was like, oh my God, like how are they going to do that? But they've been doing it. So I was just like, I'm scared. And it ended up how it probably should have. But again, I'm not raking anyone over the coals about it. It was overdue.
Do you ever play summer hockey when you're a kid, or do you guys just have snow in July in fucking Alberta or what?
Fuck no, I'm at the lake, buddy, water skiing and laying the shoulder down and doing all that stuff, buddy. You guys think Muskoka is the only goddamn lake, that rinky dink lake with no mountains?
This Muskoka five, give them some respect. Come on. They built that lake. Mitchie's out there on the lake in the summer, Rosie. Come on.
Oh, I believe it.
No, I was just going to say, to your point, the summer, the weather thing is weird. Like, I would play summer hockey here growing up. You were in shorts and t-shirts and flip-flops going into the rink, going for like a tournament game. It's like, what the hell's going on? Just the mindset of is very strange every now and then. So you play lacrosse in the summer.
I'm a big believer in staying out of the rink in the summertime. Drives me nuts. Our summer's too short anyway. So when my kids are playing spring and all that shit, I'm like, what are we doing in the rink when I'm in my shorts? It drives me nuts. But that's one of the perks of the show, man. You get to escape once in a while and get to some other climates. And yeah, it can be distracting sometimes to stay hyper focused when you're not used to that. So, chalk it up to that as well if you want. Lots of excuses for
Adam in. Well, Rosie, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. You are not on the show tomorrow. I did see that. You enjoy. You're back to work, but we'll see you on Friday. I think you're back on Leafs Morning Take with Nick there.
I will be there. Nick's gone. He's going on a little what the hell is he doing? Some kind of a road trip, but I'm
know where he's going. No?
Yeah, well, he's going to Florida. Or no, he's going to Tampa.
Yeah.
I was like, they're in Florida right now. Where the hell is he going? Yeah, he's going to Florida, but for the Tampa game, forgot. Yeah. And Carter Hutton's gonna host again, just me and him at the helm. That's pretty scary.
That'll be fun. That'll be must see television, YouTube, I don't know, live content, whatever the hell you call it.
Must see PC.
Oh, there we go. Must see PC, Friday, 11 a.m. Rosie and Carter Hutton back right here. Leafs Morning Take. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Rosie, thank you as always for doing this. We appreciate you taking the time and look forward to seeing what you and Huts get up to on Friday. That'll be fun.
Yeah, buddy. Thanks, baby. See you later. Thanks to the chat, and we'll see what happens now. I'm always just wondering what's gonna happen with this game when I'm coming on the after show, just to see what kind of mood we're in. And this is the first one we've kind of been just kind of civil, I think.
Yeah, this is like the first loss that is just like, all right.
It's gonna go. Yeah, well, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
All right, thanks, Rosie. Appreciate it. There you go. Jay Rosehill hopping on here to help us break this one down here tonight. We'll continue to break down some more stuff. I did see a super chat in there as well. Obviously important. I would have brought it up with Rosie, but as for this one, it's just a more of a message for you guys than me. So let me hit that super chat button. Joe Dokes. I hope I said that right. Joe Dokes. Joe says, an important message. Like and subscribe. Let's get the salts. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe here to the channel. Leafs Nation 401. The boys will be back tomorrow morning. Not Rosie, but Nick and Huts will be back tomorrow for much more content, breaking down tonight's game, reacting to everything that happened here between the Leafs and the Panthers. Nick's last day of the week as he gets ready to head out to Tampa Bay to watch the Leafs Lightning game on Saturday night. So that will be something you got to tune in for as you get yourselves ready for the extra special Friday edition. Tomorrow on Leafs Morning Take as well, if you didn't know already, Adam Copeland will be joining the boys, hopping in, talking about his career, the Leafs, all that kind of stuff with Nick and Huts. We still got some more stuff to break down here ourselves tonight, so don't go anywhere. But quick reminder before we do, Black Friday is here, and it's time to score big on Nation Gear. Whether you're repping the freshest designs or rocking the classics, this is your chance to snag all of your favorites for 15% off. 15% off. Big news, the brand new My City collection will be dropping and as part of the sale, along with other fresh gear you do not want to miss. This is your shot to grab the latest styles and the classics. Look, I'm wearing it right now, the classics. Make sure to always leave my house with my Leafs Nation gear. You want to get the My City collection. It's coming out here. You want to check that out. You're going to want to check out the Classic Nation gear that we've already got. Rosie rocks the hats. You see the Boys of the Morning Take. You see the Leafs Nation hoodies that I'm rocking right now. This is your shot to grab those at unbeatable prices. Need the perfect gift for your favorite fan? Nation Gear has you covered from hoodies to hats. Make this holiday season legendary for the hockey lover in your life. It gets better. If you spend over $200, we'll throw in free shipping. What gets better than that? Over $200, you get free shipping. Don't wait on the sidelines too long. This deal is 1 week only. Shop now only at nationgear.ca. Make sure to check that out. You can rock the same sweater I am. Every time we come on here, I could be wearing this. You guys could be wearing the same sweater as me during the show. Why not? Why not match? We'd be like the Nylander brothers. Easy. Chrissunny.com. You think you know me? Sorry. Maybe I don't know you. Ryan Wheatley, completely unrelated. Do you see the viral Biz Brawl news? Yes, I did. I saw the boys talk about it a little bit as well. I went and watched that video of Biz talking about it. Crazy story as well. Obviously, leave it up to Biz to explain that. But on top of that, what a weapon to go in there and be like, yeah, no, like, you're not going to mess with this restaurant owner. I'm not down with this. I don't like that you guys are picking on this guy who's not going to be able to stick up for himself. I'm in. I'm tapping in. You want to go somebody, go me. And then the fact that he walked away with barely any scratches, that the guy's a legend. All right, let's get back to tonight's game. There's not too much, like, this is going to be a shorter show here tonight for sure, because the way that I'm kind of viewing this one is just not as down as some of you in the chat. I hate to burst your bubble. I know there's probably people coming on ready for me to absolutely blow a gasket and lose it on this team or whatever. It's just not going to be the case tonight. Francesco there says Leafs played like shit. I don't know, man. I don't think that they played their best game, obviously, but I don't really think that they played like shit. There's times where I've come on here and been way more upset with effort and execution and stuff. This honestly was a matter of, like, the Panthers played extremely well. The Leafs, I think, played fine. They just didn't have the talent in the roster here to be able to compete with them. They just didn't have that. So, like, this case is kind of crazy. I mean, it's just hard to kind of break some of it down because I don't think they played terrible. I just don't think, like, if this was their lineup that they were rolling out every single night, yeah, I would be panicking. I'd be like, it's time to blow it up. Like, what are we doing? We need to make trades. We need to get better. This lineup is just not the depth and the roster you're going to see on a nightly basis. I don't think we need to smash the panic button. And also, a guy who's making $13.5 million and wears the C for this team is not playing here still. We did extremely well in the games without him. We did extremely well without these guys. But, like, when you start even missing, yeah, it's one thing to miss guys who are like Matthews, Nylander, Marner, Tavares, if they were to go down, Riley, whatever. It's another when you are now already missing Matthews and you start dropping Nyes, elite role player, Pacioretty, McMahon goes down here tonight. Like, those are top 6 guys. Those are impact players who help out your top end talent tremendously. They do things that those guys cannot or maybe will not do. Like, it changes that fabric of a game, if the fabric of a roster on a nightly basis. And you start seeing those guys, it's just like, You've got Gurbenkin, Minton, and Alex Nylander playing on your third line. They're playing a ton of minutes. Fraser Minton is out there in the final minutes of the game. I really like the kid, but like I'd prefer not to have Fraser Minton being out on the ice with an extra attacker like in need of an extra goal. Not at this point in his career. I would rather have Austin Matthews and Matthew Nyes out there. You know, like those are just some of the small things. It's like, how can you really blame this one too much? I thought they played fine. AK says McMahon is a top 6, ? Only on the Leafs. Right now, yeah, he's a top 6 guy here right now. He's played incredible with John Tavares and Mitch Marner over the last, 6 games that he's been with them. I don't think he was with them right away from the jump of these injuries. But yeah, like, these are guys playing in your top 6 and all of a sudden they're going down. Yeah, dropping some of those guys, I just think it's kind of tough. So some of that stuff happens, and it's like, I don't know. We can nitpick all we want, and I get it because I want to win every single game. Big picture, I'm not that frustrated. You lose this one 5-1. It didn't feel like a shit kicking. It felt like, yeah, it was just out of hand. I felt bad for Stolars here tonight because obviously he goes back and ends up with 4 goals against. He has an .826 save percentage. That sucks. Like, you'd assume he would want to have a better performance here tonight against the Panthers, but other than that, it's just like whatever. We keep it moving. We'll move on from that. From this game. I would be happy with just pretending this one never happened, maybe finding some positives and say, hey, we did these things right, and Gurbenkin looks good, Minton looks trustworthy, Timmins had his first bad game here tonight, but like, okay, that's your first one that's kind of been a stinker in a long time. Don't worry about it, dude. Not every game is going to be amazing for you. You just move on from this one. It personally, like, I'm not going to get too hung up on it. I don't want to get too hung up on it. You know, you just keep trucking forward. Keep trucking forward. We get to Saturday. We talk about Saturday's game. You play the Lightning. Maybe you get Matthews back. Maybe McMahon's fine. Who knows? Maybe Nyes is fine. And then all of a sudden the lineup starts building. You continue the momentum. You're just going to add some of these guys and the lineup just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And then you don't have an event like that. And then you don't have to worry. That would be exciting news if you start to get some of those guys back. You know what else is exciting news? You can mark your calendar, set your alarms, and clear your schedule because The Sheet with Jeff Merrick is coming your way starting December 2nd at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. He is going live on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel every weekday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Whether you're glued to the NHL, keeping tabs on the PWHL, or tracking the next wave of talent in junior hockey, The Sheet has you covered. Jeff will be diving into the biggest storylines shaping hockey today. News, rumors, emerging trends, and insights from every corner of the rink. He's got a lineup of incredible guest hosts and interviews that bring unique perspectives from all corners of the hockey world. From seasoned executives to top journalists and Olympic champions, The Sheet is your destination for in-depth conversations with the people shaping the game. So check out The Sheet starting December 2nd on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel and follow at The Sheet Hockey on all your favorite social media platforms so you don't miss a second. That's The Sheet Hockey on all social media platforms. Check that out. Starting Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern Times. Sorority Sleepaway, Mortuary. I butchered that last word. It's tough, Zach. We're passionate about the team. I know. I am as well. This is just one of those rare ones where I'm like, I'm okay with the loss. Like, I know you're not going to win 82. If there's one to drop, why not beat tonight? I'm fine with this one tonight. Utah on Sunday would have stung a little bit more. This one, keep it moving. Just keep it moving. I'm not as stressed. All right, let's get to our play of the game here. Okay, play of the game for me tonight. What do I want the play of the game to be? Honestly, you know what? I'm going to go with the play of the game as the Yeah, I'll go with the Marner goal. I mean, it's kind of hard. Usually in nights that the game is better, it's easier to kind of pick and choose some of the spots where it's like, hey, there was this amazing play that happened. There was this moment of battling for a goal, like the Nylander one on Utah, where he steals it from the guy on the wall, goes on a breakaway, and all these good moments happen, and the Joe Wall save happens, etc., etc. There wasn't really that tonight. It felt like a very bland, vanilla game. The Marner goal was pretty cool. Comes off the draw. Unfortunately, Grebenkin gets his first point in the NHL and then has it taken away moments after because he actually never touched the puck off the draw. It goes across to Marner, and then he's got patience, and buries past Bobrovsky, who, as Nick tweeted out, was doing his best Ilya Samsonov impression, diving around swimming in the crease. That was the one moment that you got Bobrovsky here tonight. You got the better of him, and it's Mitch Marner who capitalizes. So I thought that was the play of the game. It's a cool goal. It's going to be on some highlights. We're going to see it a little bit. You're going to see the playoff package later. Leafs, Panthers, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, flashback, Marner, backwards, dishing the puck over him. That's going to be the one that you get to see a little bit going forward. But otherwise, kind of just a relaxed night from a play of the game standpoint. The other one that I want to give an honorable mention to, or a shout out to, there was a shift early on in the first period, maybe midway through the first period. Puck goes down into the offensive zone. The third line, Nylander, Grebenkin, and Minton put tremendous pressure on those guys down low below the goal line. They won a couple of battles. Every time the puck would squirt loose, on it right away. They would start pinning them down there again. As soon as they would do that, there would be more support. You had a guy in the high spot there so that he wasn't going to get beat out of the zone. They had defensive back pressure. Like, they were just set up perfectly. It was the most on point. Like, if you were to get a coach who's going to look at that and pull it up on the screen and be like, look at what was done right here. It's that shift and the way they played and the way they set themselves up in the offensive zone. It ends up with a battle being won, the puck coming back out, and Fraser Minton getting an opportunity that he rings off the post. If that goal goes in, it could have maybe potentially turned the tides of the game, changed the direction, although I don't really think so based on the way Florida played here tonight. I don't think they were going to let anything kind of stop them. But ultimately, I just thought that was a good play, and one of those ones where it was like, that's what your coach shows you on the whiteboard moment of saying, here's how to do this, and it was a great execution by the third line. So that's an honorable mention for me here tonight. Let's get to something that I wish I didn't have to mention, but we got to get to because we are honest and transparent here on the show no matter what goes on, and that would be tonight's best bet. Our best bet segment is brought to you by Bet365, proud partner of the Leafs Nation pregame and the Leafs Nation after dark. Open an account with Bet365 today. Bet on a huge range of markets. Use code NATION, NATION. That's code NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. All right, our best bet here tonight that did not go so well for us. It brings our record on the season to 9-15, but thankfully, because we are playing these responsibly based on how big the bets are, how big the odds are, how long shot these things are, and then whether or not I actually think we have a serious edge on them, we lost $25 here tonight, which brings us to up 1.22 units on the season. That is a profit of $122 thus far. So make sure to follow along. Bet responsibly when you are betting, obviously, every single time. The best bet tonight, I've said it from the beginning, this was fully a let's have some fun kind of bet. I didn't think that there was too much, but I felt like there was some decent reasoning to go into it. And I thought we had a pretty good number over at Bet365. We parlayed Alex Nylander anytime goal with William Nylander to record a point at plus 625. That one falls short, but we did it for $25 to win 100 or profit 181. Unfortunately, does not win for us here tonight, and brings our season total to a profit of $122. It's tough. Wish it could have been better for us. Wish it could have been better for you guys. I'm sorry, but Yeah, that ends up being the result of this best bet. We got to break them down. We got to recap them. And that's just the way it was tonight. All right, let's get to our final segment here before we wrap things up. Our grade of the game. You guys send your grades. I want to know what you have. We're also 2. Yes, that is correct. We are 2 likes away from smelling salts. We haven't done them here tonight. You guys have been slacking a little bit. I'm not going to lie on the likes. We were only 2 likes away. We got 2 more, and we'll do the smelling salts before we wrap up. Send your grades of the game in the chat. I want to know what you guys have, how you guys are feeling about this one here tonight. My grade is, like, honestly, it's probably worse than what my grade is, but, like, given the circumstances, I feel like it's like a C. Like, Bubba G says F. I don't know. Like C minus maybe. JS says D. Maybe I'm being too generous. I feel like I'm just thinking like circumstantially. What do we have? Francesco says grade F. Wow, maybe I'm being really light on these guys tonight. I'll go with Robert Smith, C minus. I mean, C minus probably fair. It's just kind of, you didn't get numbers from Stolarz, 826. You generated some shots, like 24 shots on Bob. You beat him once with the 1 goal. Nylander -3. Marner -2. Tavares -2. Riley -3. OEL -2. Special teams here tonight. You won the faceoff battle. Nice. You went 1 for 3 on the power play. That's honestly not that bad. Like a 30%. That's pretty decent. You were 3 for 20, 3 for 5, 3 for 20. What am I reading? 3 for 5 on the penalty kill. Success rate. Florida scored 2 power play goals. Like, it's not terrible. Penalty kill could have been better. Power play was actually decent. Percentage-wise, I don't know, like, C minus. C minus, I think, is fair. I think it's a fair grade. We hit the likes, and we got one more question here before I leave. I will wrap this one up. This is kind of just a weird game to break down in general. Like, I don't really have too many strong opinions. Bubba G, F, because the Leafs can't play playoff hockey. They will always be a regular season team with this core. I mean, we'll obviously find out, but I don't think you can make that takeaway from tonight. Let's do the smelling salts. Thank you guys for liking the stream. Every 50 we do that, but appreciate it. Whoa. A little extra for you guys at the end there because I appreciate you sticking with me to this point. Josh D. Savino. Really hope I said that one right. Sorority said, you can just call me Sorority. Okay, I will. That's much easier for me. Josh, Zack, love the show, brother. Thank you. Just wanted to hear your general thoughts on Stolarz. Despite his average performance tonight, have we found a legit gem here? I think we have. The team's got to be better in front of him, and I don't think that happens. The same can be said for a goalie. That can be said for the rest of the team. Do you think that every single game Stolarz goes in, he's going to be otherworldly? No, it's not realistic. Like, that's not going to happen every single night, unfortunately. I wish that it did, but it's not the case. So I think we found a guy who's a legit gem here. I'm interested to see what happens the more workload he gets, the more games he plays this season. But as of right now, yes, I do think we found a legit goaltender. I think you found... I'm going to be careful with how they say this. I think we found a goaltender you could have success with. I don't want to say win Stanley Cups or anything like that. There's a lot that goes into it. But for a while now, I have not thought you need elite goaltending to win. You need above average goaltending that can play elite when needed. Look at a lot of the goalies that have won Stanley Cups over the last little while. How many of them do you look at and say, you know what? That guy's elite. Jordan Binnington, elite. You know, Darcy Kemper, elite. No, those are good goalies who just also got hot and went on a run and helped their teams win Stanley Cups. I think Anthony Stolarz could potentially be a guy who does that. He's a good goaltender who could take it to the next level at any given moment and become an elite goaltender who helps you win games and series. So I do think we found a gem. Results of the poll here. I put it up at the beginning. Are Grabenkin and Minton NHL ready? 20% says Grabenkin is. 11% says Minton is. 30% of you say both are NHL ready. 38% say neither. Wow. Interesting. Interesting all the way around. Also, final thing, JS. Matthew should have played. I'm not in a position to make that judgment. I have no idea what he feels, how he feels, what he's thinking, what the team doctors are saying. I don't think any of us, unless you are personal friends with him and he's told you, a doctor of the team or Austin Matthews himself are in a position to determine whether or not he plays. If he didn't feel like he could go, the team didn't think he could go, he couldn't go. It is what it is. Thank you guys for watching the show here tonight. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Make sure to turn on notifications so you don't miss any shows. I will be back Saturday for another game preview. I'll be back for a post-game show here, right here on this channel. All of that and more. Make sure to subscribe. Tomorrow morning, Huts, Nick, and a special guest. Make sure to tune in. Don't miss anything. This has been game number 22, the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, losing this one 5-1 to the Florida Panthers, moving to 13-7-2 on the season. Thanks so much to everyone for tuning in. I will be back Saturday night. Until then, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take, Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos. Make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.